So, once again, my horoscopes let me know too much, right? Once again, my horoscopes let me know too much, but they also let me know what's to come. And all I'm gonna say is, I guess I gotta be ready or not ready. If I'm not ready, I don't know. But once again, I'm not even mad about it. I'm just like I know what I know, and it's just like whatever. I mean, when it came to other people, I was mad when the horoscopes told me too much information about them, like having sex or something. But um, I'm not mad. Technically, she was actually, one of the readers was actually reading me because they called me the spiritualist or whatever you want to call it. The spiritual one or the one that's more grounded in spirituality in the reading. So, I was obviously just learning a lot of information that I wish I kind of was told in person and stuff like that from an individual, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see when I talk to that person. But um, regardless, that's the blessing and the curse of tarot cards. You can learn things before you get told an actual person about what's going on and etc. But um, I am disappointed and I am a little saddened by it, but I kind of knew already because I kind of had to be realistic. So, I don't know. I don't know yet. I mean, there's still things I can still, I still gotta wait for things to really unfold, but I just know that, once again, my horoscope said too much. If you know how to read, it's a little awkward when you know like the details of what they're talking about on like a tarot card reading, and then they say them openly to everybody, and it might be different to somebody else compared to you. But when they say them, and you hear a tarot card reading, you get kind of like. You get kind of jumbled up and saying, "Oh my God, they said too much about my situation or about this or that." And it's like sometimes tarot card readers do. Sometimes tarot card readers just flat out say the truth or flat out say things that um, about different things and different scenarios and situations. But um, I just wanted to do a check-in video, but I wanted to also come in and say that my horoscopes are doing that thing again where they give too much information, and mostly it's about me this time. And I have some other ones to watch, but I mean I've watched a lot of ones for me and stuff, and it gives out too much information. But it's true. It's true. I mean it is true that um I got a lot of evolving, I got a lot of growing, and I got a lot of maturing to do. I mean, if that doesn't make me fit for a relationship or to be in a relationship with somebody or for somebody to think I'm grown or worthy of their time, then so be it. I can't do anything about it. I mean, I wasn't joking this morning when I said, oh, I still got to learn to love myself. I mean, I would like to put my efforts forward to actually love a person and actually try to see where things go so I could love a person, but it's still too early to tell anything. So, as one of the horoscopes said, things are going slow, which it's referring to me because things are definitely going slow, but um, things should be going slow because I'm just not ready to really rush and say I'm going to settle down in a relationship and stuff like that without really getting to know somebody or a little bit more about the history and stuff like that before, you know, or getting to know somebody, even if it did lead to something like sex or something, right? I want to know more about who the person who I'm going to actually exchange energies with before I end up doing so that way I'm not just exchanging energies and picking up energies that I'm not gonna wanna incorporate into my energy field or my life, because when you have sex with somebody you're exchanging energies. So even if it led to something like sex or something, when where horoscopes are like, oh, you need to know about this person and that person, and it's like, well, yeah, and in general, like within relationships and stuff, you tend to want to go slow. I mean, some people can kind of have this way of rushing into relationships and regretting it later. But with any relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether whether it's a relationship or whatever. I just want to go slow in my relationships because I have a history of, like, when things go fast and things just, once it reaches like a point where, we cross the line of like sleeping together, the bridges are pretty much burnt and there's nothing you can really do to get the time or the relationship sometimes back after you sleep with somebody, because some people say, oh, that's all that is that you slept with me, now the relationship's burnt and it's at the end. That's why that's why I'm trying to say to people now that I want to go slow and etc. But I mean, obviously people are going to have their free will. They're going to have their free will, the freedom of choice. I mean, that's the whole situation going on with something that was bothering me, about, neighborly and stuff like that. But it's also kind of true with, any type of relationship issues, is that you can't make a person really choose you. You can't make a person really value you or want to be with you. You can only, choose to love and respect and honor them the best way you know how and stuff like that. But you can't necessarily, you can come from that place of love and respect and try to, try to hopefully that they try to have it where they hopefully one day see it, but you can't honestly make them honor that or value that or respect that. So, I mean, obviously, in all seriousness, I mean, I got to talk more to people, face to face, or when I get a chance to talk to people, but, more likely me and the person I'm thinking about, but because it should be a more of a person handle, a more one-to-one personal matter. But for me, I wanted to start off slow. It's not saying I never possibly maybe even wanted a relationship or wanted to see where things go. It's just like I just want to start off slow because that I just want to take my time to get to know somebody. You never know what the road might lead. People move away sometimes. People change. Things happen, and life changes people, and sometimes people have to split and do what they have to do. But obviously, the horoscopes told me. I mean, I think I found something really good in a connection, but the horoscopes are telling me now that it's not going to come without flaws. The bottom line is it's telling me it's not going to come without flaws. It's not going to come without effort of both people working on it and etc. And it's not going to come without flaws or situations where you're going to have to be tested and etc. So we'll see if it stands. We'll see if it stands and etc. I mean, I know some people are kind of upset with me too because of some of my past choices during the weekend. I'm pretty sure they are, because I've made some past choices and some of my my financial choices haven't been the greatest, and but especially when I really didn't have them. I don't want to get into it, but I just want to say once again, my horoscopes say too much. It's out of my hands. Usually I think people who only really want to believe in the horoscopes or believe in that type of thing will understand what the horoscopes are saying or talking about. If you don't believe in the horoscopes, or you don't believe in the energies, or or what they're talking about, you can't really grasp the energies or be read in a horoscope. But it's true. Obviously, I know. It's logic. I mean, people look at me and say, "Oh, why are you choosing to love yourself? Why are you choosing to do this and then do that?" Well, I say in the end that I choose to love myself, because that's what you got to do. You can't love if you can't love somebody else if you can't love yourself, right? So, regardless, it's just things are going very slow, and they should be. There should not be any talk about love or anything right now. It should be talking about how do we, evolve and, etc. But, regardless, it's my horoscopes just say too much, and I can touch base on everything they just said, because it doesn't really bother me. It just depending on who listens to the spiritualness of the horoscopes, it just sometimes will say too much information, or some people will think it will say too much information, or etc. And it bothers some people. People know what the horoscopes are talking about, or the tarot card readers are talking about. Some people will be like try to get closed off and be like, oh, don't read me, or don't say this, or don't say that, know, because sometimes you got to have permission to read people and etc. You got to have permission to figure out what's going on and stuff like that. So, I mean, sometimes people can make it where you can close off your energies and not be read by a tarot card. I mean, people do that from time to time. You know, don't ask me how, but yeah, obviously, you know, I'm not talking love. I'm talking about getting to know somebody and seeing where things might lead, you know. I'm not talking love right now. I'm talking about maybe getting to a point of love, but I still need to go slow in my relationships in my life, and that's with any relationship, you know. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna go jump in the gun and say I love you before I get to know, you know, who you are and more about your situation and what's going on with you. I can't tell you I love. I mean, you can't love somebody who doesn't really give you the effort, the time, and really show you how you're valued and etc. And we'll get to show you that yes, they truly do love you by the way they treat you and stuff like that. So, but I mean, I'm not talking love because it's I know it's way too soon to even say love. I mean, I will say, you know, if something graduates in my situation or in any situation with the tarot cards or with anyone that turns into love, you know, like if I go slow and it turns into a love situation, right? Then great, you know, then great. I obviously found somebody to love and I've found somebody to appreciate me, you know. I mean, I have my mindset on maybe a couple people, maybe one, two, I don't know. But, you know, granted, everybody has free will. Everybody has free will choices. I mean, everybody knows that I post that Greg Dooley song, which is actually a Leonard Cohen cover, which is called Paper Thin Hotel, and Love is Out of Your Control, which is the main theme of that song is like, you could be sleeping with somebody else, making love to somebody else, and doing what you gotta do, and love is still out of your control. You can't control somebody for, you know, making love to somebody else and giving their love to somebody else. You can still love them and choose to try to be in a positive state about it and try to be uplifted by the act of love, but you can't necessarily, you know, you can't necessarily make people love you or respect you or, you know, you even really want to talk about love in situations because, you know, obviously if you haven't worked to a spot where you're there yet and etc., you can't do that. But in anything, love is out of my control, and I really do mean that. You know, we were born to have, you know, fuck each other one way or another, which is basically saying, for me saying is, you know, which is from an Iron and Wine song saying, yes, we're born to have sex and do what we got to do to have sex and do what we got to, you know, see each other in that regard and have those kind of pleasures and those kind of intimacies. But I can't necessarily stop people. I can't necessarily stop people from not choosing me. I can't necessarily stop people from breaking my heart, you know. Obviously, my heart's usually always in a good place when I come forward to some people I really like and etc. And it's always in a good place. But sometimes there comes a point where sometimes, like I said before, I sometimes overgive, right? Sometimes people have a tendency to overgive to somebody and they give too much of themselves, and then finally when they get hurt, they end up really, you know, regretting it and stuff like that, and regretting a lot of things later on. So, you know, but obviously my horoscopes are talking about too much right now, and yes, like situations of love and relationships are on the brain, but I you know, I was just wondering why, you know, truthfully, I was just wondering why somebody wasn't talking to me, but I was wondering why somebody wasn't talking to me today, you know. So I did kind of come to find out. I think it was just because you know, there's two different ways of learning how to express yourself. Some people feel one way of learning how to express themselves, and their love language is a little different than mine, and you know, and stuff like that. But you know, it's not like necessarily unworkable and stuff like that. But you know, obviously there's a lot of growing and maturing and stuff I still have to do, a lot of healing in my life with like my childhood and stuff like that. And I know I have to grow and evolve and become the better person that I need to be. I mean, this is long overdue that I, you know, start, you know, stepping up to be more of an adult. I mean, I got my collectibles. I mean, you know, what nerd person that, you know, watches like anime and, you know, stuff like, you know, like Comic-Cons and stuff like that. What person doesn't collect like some type of collectible, some type of nerd type collectible? I mean, you know, some women love it, some women hate it. You know, some women say, "Oh, that's not mature enough. That's not adult enough to, you know, to actually say, oh, you know, you're that type of guy to, you know, to be with me because you're not mature enough because you're into all these cartoons and stuff like that." But some women love cartoons. Some women love cartoons. Some women love the, you know, the nerdy type of guys and the guys that are into the anime and stuff like that. But I don't know. I mean, I'm just have a feeling of talking about relationships and love right now because, you know, my horoscope obviously talks about stuff and it talks about stuff too much and kind of over says things. But then again, you know, Valentine's Day is coming up. You know, I really meant that too, is that I don't know if I'm going to have a date for Valentine's Day. There's actually some things that, you know, I really want to give my attention to, but that doesn't mean that, you know, in the end that I'm going to get the same attention and, you know, response back. I mean, I know there's things that, you know, that show me that, you know, people are actually interested. You know, it's not like it wasn't just a one-way street, you know, like some of the things in the past. There is a little bit of, you know, I will say in my life right now, there is with a certain individual, there is a little bit give and take. But, you know, and there's love languages that you need to do. I mean, I don't want people all in my business. I really don't want people all in my business. But the main thing is that I wanna just state for the record is that, you know, you can't make somebody love you in the way that, you know, they want to love you back, because everybody has free will. I mean, if people feel like they're gonna get fucked over, etc., you can't make people, you know, respond to that how they're going to respond. I mean, people have feelings. People are going to react the way that they do. You know, I mean, for certain situations that I kind of already, you know, expected, in some personal things in my life, I kind of knew that certain things might happen and stuff like that, because I kind of knew that there possibly might have been other people in the picture. You know, I'm not gonna lie, there could be other people in the picture. That just goes without saying. You know, so you know, it's just out of my control. I can't do anything about it. You know, so. I don't know. You know, I still want to keep I still want to keep all my connections. I mean, I would love to keep all my connections in all my relationships, but it just seems like I'm going through change. You know, I'm going through change. I feel like I met somebody, and I feel like we're really hitting it off. And I feel like if I took more of the time, we still took more time to really, you know, go slow and get to know each other, that I feel like this situation could evolve into like a really good and positive light and a positive situation and thing. You know. Granted, there's a lot of other stuff in my life now where there's a lot of like hecticness, and I wasn't necessarily say drama, because it's not really drama, because there's not a lot of drama and stuff going on right now, but it's a lot of, like, you know, a lot of doors that I think are just needing to be closed, or needing to be dealt with, to find out where we all stand. I mean, right now I know one door personally. I said, you know, I'm done with a certain individual who was a Libra, but I really should have also be done with Joseph Arthur, which he was supposed to be out the door. Was it like a month or two ago? He was already supposed to be not being posted about and etc., because that relationship ended a long time ago, you know. And I kind of said I was moving on, but then I kind of was posting him again, and you know, but you know. I don't want to make people upset. I'm here for people. I'm here for all my friends. I'm here for the people who want me to be here. And the people who don't want me to be here, the people that want to choose somebody else and be with somebody else, and, you know, want to love somebody else, and so don't think I'm worthy enough, I can't stop them. I mean, I know I'm worthy enough to be loved and cherished and accepted and valued as I'm supposed to be valued and loved, but sometimes it doesn't always feel like that, especially when sometimes people take stabs, or people try, you know, people kind of really, you know, have a way of really hurting your emotions. Sometimes it might not feel like that, but in the end, you know, you got to rise up and say, yes, you're worthy of love, you're worthy of self-respect, you're worthy of what you need to do. obviously there, obviously in my situation, even though the horoscopes have said too much, there's a lot of room in a lot of situations for more of a conversation, more conversations and room for more conversations in my life and in my situation. Because I think people are avoiding it right now because I don't know if they're taking, time or whatever, but there's rooms for more conversations to take care of things. There's room for more conversations to really find out what's what and etc. So obviously it doesn't mean, necessarily that there's going to be an ending or there's going to be something that's going to like come crumbling down, but it does mean that, there should be more feelings and more thoughts and more things about life and what's going on shared, so you can obviously either grow closer or try to just figure out where you guys are going to stand. That's usually how relationships work, is that, it requires work, or, any friendship or relationship or anything, any type of relationship, whether it's a friendship, family, love, whatever. It all requires work and all requires, sometimes makeup and breakup and all this other stuff. If you truly want to, be there for a person, So, I don't know. I'm at the point now where my horoscopes speak on a lot, but, I'm not really going to say too much. I'm just going to let that, let them, do what they need to do. But I am just in a general fashion going to talk about relationships, because it is that time around Valentine's Day where people be like, oh, it's Valentine's Day. Let's talk, what about relationships? What does relationships mean to you? And I can't say I'm not going through it. I cannot say I'm not going through it. I'm telling everybody now that, especially with these changes, with like me not working with the Noki gallery anymore and other certain things, that I can't say that I'm not going through it, and there's not changes and things happening where things are being, stressful and etc. I can't say that, changes are not happening and shit doesn't happen, but regardless, change is inevitable. How you handle it and how you grow and how you overcome is more important than, trying to, sit here and, try to bullshit and say, just act like, nothing's going to get resolved if we just don't talk about shit or keep our feelings open. So, anyways, I'm getting offline because I have to, because my phone's on 5%, but I will come back online a little later, but I just wanted to get that off my chest about relationships.